Yes, people, I'd say thanks for joining me this evening. And if you do us a big favor and give the video a like and a share, I'd much appreciate the support. I'm going to start today's episode with the biggest story of the week. Not Iran, surprisingly. Nope. Um, Animals on banknotes. Yep, that's what I said. Animals on banknotes. For those that don't know this, in the UK, the Bank of England has decided that it is going to take famous figures from an array of banknotes, Jane Austen, Alan Turing, but I've not heard much outcry for those guys. The big one, Sir Winston Churchill, will be taken off the banknotes, and then they're going to replace all those pictures with great British animals that are native to the UK. I think otters, badgers, I hope hedgehogs, but I've not heard that. Love a hedgehog. And yeah, why is this such a big story? Because culture wars are the predominant news in this country, especially with the right-wing press. I say especially, predominantly with the right-wing press. And it's just another pathetic attempt to try and separate people into woke camps. And I don't even know what the opposite of woke is in their eyes. For me, it's people that are fast to fucking sleep, and I know where I'd rather be. However, I don't even know what they sort of self-identify as. But anyway, these idiots, yeah, once again, of all the things to lose your mind over, this apparently is one of them. Now, don't get me wrong. I like, Alan Turing is an amazing character. I've even drank a little bit of the Kool-Aid on Winston Churchill. I've seen the films, I've seen the propaganda. I know about World War II, and these aspects of Churchill that I like. Obviously, he's also a colonial monster. And this is the thing, guys. You're never going to get figures that unify a country on a note. We're stuck with royalty on the other side, sadly. We're stuck with that. So for me, listen, I'm an environmentalist. I think it's amazing, yeah, that the spotlight is going to be put on some of our more endangered animals. We do share this land with other sentient beings. I know people don't, outside of there are cats, dogs, rabbits, guinea pigs, budgies, or whatever. There's a whole host of other sentient beings that we live with, whose habitats that we predominantly destroy. Let's put a little bit of a spotlight on them. Let people think about them, and hopefully have a bit more respect for Britain's animals. But yeah, a little bit of a joke to start with. It is a big story. It is pathetic. But yeah, bring it on. Let the animals get a bit of the spotlight for once, and I'm all for it. Okay, next story. This one, I remember reading about this years ago and being shocked. And I think what happened was, because it's so shocking that my brain sort of rewired itself back to its old state, because it obviously didn't want to live in a world where this was true. But I'm going to give you three boring words. Marginal cost pricing. Now, if you don't know what this is, you'd think that's got to be some sort of like spreadsheet, boring bullshit. Yeah. And in a way, it is, but it affects us all, guys. And what it is, it's unbelievable. This. Now, I'm going to link an article by George Monbiot, because he's re-reminding me about this, and I'm just as shocked again. So we live in a world, guys, where no matter how well we do with renewable energy, and at the moment, I think we're running at about 70% renewables in the UK, which is great. It's nowhere near we need to be, or we could be if we'd have had some sort of long-term planning 20, 30 years ago. But it's not too bad compared to other countries, okay? Low bar, I know, but bear with me. So about 70% of our energy is renewable, but for the gaps, we have the same old culprits: gas, oil, I think still some coal. But the way that it works, because the world's fucking mental, is that when it goes to the international markets to sell, okay, the cost, rather than being based on the majority of the energy, it's based on the energy that you use to fill the gaps, which is gas, oil, and coal, which is a very high international market price. And so this madness is what we live in. So we need more renewables to have cheaper energy prices, but we have to get rid of this insane marginal cost pricing where it goes into the international markets. And for those that bang on about the North Sea gas, that we're trying to extract, or they want us to extract, there's very little of it left. It'll cost a fortune to extract. And also, regardless of even if we're getting it, it will still be a victim to this international market price, which is always sky high for gas, oil, and coal. So I'm going to link that story into the comments and the show notes, because I want people to read just how mad that is. But I really wanted to highlight it just as an example of the suicidal death spiral that we are on at the moment, not only with still promoting and extracting gas, oil, and coal, but even when we try and do our best with renewables, we're still locked in to an energy price that's dominated by the minority of the fuel that we use. Madness, guys. Please have a read of that. Great article. So big up to George Monbiot for re-traumatizing myself. But you know what? It's still good to be reminded, as much as it's mental. And the last thing I'm gonna show you guys. I'm only doing around 10-minute videos. I know time is precious, so I hope you give this little video a watch as well and stick with it. Not sure who this guy is. I think he must be some sort of comedian or a political comedian or whatever. He nails a lot of things, though. I like what he says. What he says is true, but also what I like about this is the reason I'm showing it. I'm forever disappointed with like political analysts that never seem to incorporate concepts such as net zero, which has its own problems for an environmentalist, but it's certainly something we should be aiming for at the very least. They always seem to miss the climate crisis, or how like world events connect to climate breakdown, or they always skip policies like net zero. So this guy doesn't, and I appreciate that. So big up to this guy. It's only a short video, guys. So let's have a watch. It's funny as well.
You don't know why the US and Israel's war with Iran is going to cost you a fortune, but you don't want to look like a thicky dum-dum in front of all your mates. Here's a quick rundown before your Strait of Hormuz is blocked as well. Thanks to Donald Trump not having a single brain cell behind his tiny T-Rex eyes, he failed to realize that Iran controls one of the world's most important waterways. The Strait of Hormuz, seen here looking ironically bendy, sees a fifth of the world's chody little oil and gas ships pass through it every single year. And predictably, after getting its leader assassinated by massive missile, the Iranians have decided to weaponize the one thing the US and Israel have no control over. It's sodding geography. Basically, Iran stopped all ships passing through the strait, not straight because it's bendy, causing the price of a barrel of oil to soar to $120. Now, the highest price a barrel of oil has sold for was in 2008 at $148. Now the Iranians are saying, buckle up, pricks, we're going to send this baby flying to $200 a barrel. But the thing is, you can't really blame Donald for not realizing that Iran would do this, because they've never done it before. Oh no, wait, Iran has literally done this before. So now all the oily boys like Qatar, Kuwait and Saudi Arabia are like, fuck, if we can't transport our oil, that means we've got to store it, but we're running out of storage. Which means, fuck, we've got to shut down our oil fields because we're running out of storage. So now people like India and China, who are heavily reliant on Middle Eastern oil, are turning to people like Dracula's second cousin, Vladimir Putin, who's like, well, look who's come crawling back. Thanks for your money. We're going to use it to make more war with Ukraine. To make matters worse, the US and Israel are bombing Iran's oil infrastructure, creating massive plumes of toxic vapor that innocent Iranian civilians are breathing in. And in response, Iran are are using drones to destroy the oil infrastructure in the Gulf states. So the global markets are going fucking mental, which means countries around the world have released 400 million barrels of oil they've been keeping in reserve in order to bring the price of oil down, which it did for a bit, but now the price of oil is going up again, tits. And now Donald Trump is starting to panic because the only thing he cares about is the global markets and not unsurprisingly the freedom and dignity of the Iranian people. Because it's looking increasingly likely that Donald Trump is now going to leave Iran in the hands of the dead Ayatollah's son, who's incredibly fucked off and probably quite likes the idea of building a nuclear weapon now. Meanwhile, the super rich shipping dudes are like, whoa, we got to protect our profit margin. So unfortunately, all of these rise in prices are going to have to be passed on to you, the shit muncher consumer. So expect the price of food, heating and transport to go through the roof. But don't forget what we're always told by the right-wing oil interests about turning to renewable energy and achieving net zero. Say it after me, guys. It's too expensive, yes. Only hang on, there was a report published just yesterday that shows that transitioning to a net zero economy would cost less than a single oil crisis. Let me put that another way. If we spent all of the money we're about to spend on rising bills to line the pockets of oil interests on new technologies, it could pay for our entire economy to go net zero. Which means we not only wouldn't be choking to fucking death on fumes like the poor innocent people in Tehran currently are, we also would no longer be reliant on dictators, autocrats and psychopaths who currently control our energy. We are being ripped off, people, and the cost is on us in the form of money and literal lives. So you don't know why the...
So there you go, guys. I like that video. I like that video. Obviously, he is being funny on purpose, but he's showing how ridiculous this is. But I really like the fact that he's saying there that the cost of going fully renewable is less than a single oil crisis. Now, what depends what you calling an oil crisis, but this particular war, is going to cost a hell of a lot more than us transitioning over to renewables, and that is something to sort of focus the mind, guys. So we'll leave it there. Give this guy a follow. Again, I'm not sure who he is. I'll look him up myself and give him a follow. So that's it, guys. We live in a crazy world, but there's going to be animals on the sterling notes, and I'm happy about that, but not much else at the moment. But listen, take care, guys, and I'll see you soon.